Welcome back to Leicester Fan TV, guys. A big game coming up, really. Arsenal away on Saturday. A tough test for the team, I imagine. Not many.
It's a big test, mate.
Yeah, not many. I don't think many fans are expecting anything from the game, but I'm going to put a positive spin on it. I think this is the game to try something different. We're not expecting anything out of it. We're going to do two teams that I know my team's going to be very different from the Everton one. I'd definitely like to see, some changes in that team, and definitely to see the tactics be a little bit different, really.
Yeah, again, for me, I'm not expecting much from this game. For me, that this could be a typical Leicester thing, and somehow shock the world and say, you know what, let's get a draw out of this game or a win. Like you said, I wouldn't just sit back in this game. For me, I'd say if you're going to lose, you might as well lose fighting. In my eyes, I know it could be a point where you could lose 2 or 3 or even 4-0, but if you just sit back and expect to lose in the first place, there's no point even starting the game. For me, you've got to go out there and show them that if you want to score, you've got to go and score. Like, for me, I don't want to just sit back and be 0-0.
Well, I'd rather it be 0-0.
Oh, yeah, I get what you mean.
I would rather it be 0-0 than lose 4. The worst scenario is to get thumped, yes. I think.
I get that. Yeah.
I don't think we should go out there and go guns blazing, because it is one of those games where it's not going to boost confidence going out and thumped 3-4-0. But we'll get into the team really straight away.
Go on, you start.
I mean, as much as we clown on Danny Ward, he did have a very good game against Walsall.
Yeah.
Man of the match performance.
Well, there's not many other players.
We'll get into that. The only player that really looked like he could be asked to start with, let's start with that one. He's the only one out of those fringe players that looked asked. Hermanson, I put him back into my team, but I mean, Danny Ward's been at the club long enough. He sat on the bench long enough. And we saw what he did under Rodgers. But he had a good game against Walsall. They're a League 2 side. It's hard.
I think he should do well against League 2 side.
Yeah, I mean, again, we'll move into that because you'd say that against a lot of the players that played. Mm-hmm. Get your comments in, guys. Obviously, some of the players you think you would start or the ones you change differently to us. We'll get them up on screen if you comment down below. Reedy, put your goalie in.
I'll put my goalie in. I'm joking. I was putting Ward in. I'm not doing that. I think like I said, there's only one man for the job, and I don't think anyone's going to even step in his way, is there really? As you saw on Ward's post-match interview, he was saying that obviously he notices and acknowledges that Hermanson is the first choice, and it's not all about just him and no one else. There's apparently a lot that Ward and all the other keepers and the coaches do to get Hermanson ready for the game. So it was nice to see Ward not being a bit annoyed that he's not getting much game time.
Well, I'm sure he's happy on his 60 grand a week.
Yeah, of course
he can't complain, can he? We'll move into the defence, really. Alex, we'll move into Ricardo. He was a bag of spanners, mate, against Walsall. He was rubbish. We've been calling for Ricardo. We've been saying, why is Cooper not playing him? There's your solid facts why I've not played him, because against League 2 side Walsall, he looked like a national player, a National League player. He was rubbish. For all his singing and praising, we've said to put him in the team. He gets the start against Walsall, and he was shite. He was absolutely poor, really. I don't like to bash players like this, but if you're one of these fringe players as to why you're not getting into the team, Pereira, he had a stinker, really, against Walsall.
Yeah, obviously, I didn't watch all the game, but like I
did.
But to say it's a 0-0 as well, like you can't have done that well to play against a League 2 side. And for me, against Walsall, I didn't mind the team. I would have preferred them to have that sort of lineup out to show, just to give them a bit more game time. I thought El Khanouch should have started. I thought Ricardo should have started, and he did. For me, a lot of players who are on the fringe to getting into the team.
I think not one of them. I don't think you may argue Cooper's tactics, but not one of those players against Walsall showed why they deserve to be in the team. And it's got very much the same kind of remnants of Rodgers' era in the fact that who can be asked to play for Leicester, because not one of them's really stepping up and putting themselves in the plate. Pereira, for me, as you've got the graphic there, I thought he had a good season last year against Walsall. He wasn't good enough. For me, we'll go into the team. I'm putting Justin at right back and Christensen at left back, just for the sole reason of here's your chance, Pereira, to get back into the team and to play well and do something and to earn your spot. And he didn't. I don't think he did enough. He was below average. He definitely doesn't deserve a spot in the team against Arsenal, for me anyway. And we'll see what some of the comments are saying, see if they agree or disagree.
Afternoon, lads. This is nothing to lose. This is nothing to lose game, surely. Yeah, I guess. But again, first of all, you don't want to get bumped, and second of all, in my eyes, I don't want to go there trying to defend to go 0-0 and then just concede late on anyway. I want to at least try and go at them and see if we can get a goal.
There's two ways to look at it. I think there's the logical way, and then there's the, all guns out,
Yeah,
way.
You can't do either, really.
The logical way is we're going to hold on, and it will be a defensive match. But I mean, Councillor
I agree. I think I would rather lose 5-2.
The thing is, though, Councillor, I get what you're saying, and I think I would probably, I get the thought behind it, but it wouldn't, if we went all guns blazing, it wouldn't be 5-2, it'd be 5-0 instead of 3-0. Those are the two ways that you can look at it. For me, I'm in two minds of we should change it up a little bit more because Arsenal is a free hit, but I don't want to go out there and get, pummeled. We could not get. I think everyone would agree we're probably going to lose. I think the worst thing for this team right now and the mentality and confidence is to go out there and get thumped 5-0.
You want to give a good performance, though. For me, you've got to give a good performance, even if I just want to see.
You always want to give a good performance.
I think mainly because the game after this one, this is like I say, most people would say this is a free hit. You've got to go into this game and have a good mentality and a good performance going into the next games, because the next games after this are
what classifies as a good performance, though? For me,
not losing convincingly, and second of all, actually maybe having a bit of a go, not all out attack, but then showing that we can.
But doesn't that contradict? If we did go more attacking, and then doesn't that leave us more exposed to lose 4-0?
No, but I would like, as you'll see in the teams, I'm going to go for a bit more attacking wise, but still have a lot more defensive players in there. That shows you that on the counter we can beat them. Whereas for me, the last few games we haven't really shown the creativity we have in the team. Until
I don't think that's much. That's why.
No, but that's what I mean. That's where I'm thinking against Arsenal. I think give them a game. I think the performance I'm asking for is show them that we can compete in ways. Yes, it's not going to be easy because it is Arsenal.
I think we have shown we can. We have been very competitive in the opening 5
Exactly, and that's why I'm saying that I think if we can do it against Arsenal, we've got a lot more confidence. I said this
earlier in the week that I think we've got a very decent team at being competitive and staying in the games. I think what we lack and what we will always lack is quality. And, I think with newly promoted teams such as ourselves and Southampton and Ipswich, they can play with as much heart and competitiveness as they like. But when push comes to shove, the teams we play against, they just have better quality. And, I think a lot of people's mentality is we're still this good club, that was running riot and getting 8th, 5th place. And we're just not. We're fighting for staying up. So Arsenal is a massive free hit, and we're digressing really. Let's put your players in, and then we'll move on.
See, this is tricky. I think out of all the defenders this season, I think Christensen's probably been the best out of the lot.
I mean, you're going to say defenders or fullbacks?
Well, yeah, I'm saying defenders in general.
Defenders in general, okay.
Yeah. Well, what did I say?
The defenders.
Yeah, I'm saying defenders in general.
You mean out of the whole back?
Yeah, out of the whole back four, out of all the players that have played in our defence this season, I think Christensen's been the best or the most.
Again, he's one of these players, and no offence to him, he plays with a lot of heart. He puts a lot on for the badge. I just don't think he's good enough quality-wise. And you've seen it with a lot of players. I think he really puts it all out on the pitch, and sometimes that's just not enough. Sometimes you need.
It does backfire sometimes. Yeah, I get that. But again, for me, if I was to put my best 11 out, for me at the moment, he is the best left back we've got. Again, if we did play Ricardo on the right, it means that for me, we wouldn't be able to play Christensen because it means that JJ would have to fill in that role. But it's hard. So for me, I'm gonna. It's hard because I'm thinking, do I put my best players in or do I put the player that I think
who you want to put in?
Ricardo.
Who you want?
I think against higher level like Arsenal, I think we need some quality there. And as much as he didn't have a good game against Walsall,
the guy that was getting run around by
I get it, but we all know that the quality that Ricardo has and should do
fucking hell, he didn't have that quality against.
No,
Wolves,
I know, but Scott Champson here says Ricardo wasn't given a proper chance as he was asked to play fullback and doesn't bomb up, which is his strength.
It's up to him. If you can say that all your life, Pereira doesn't want to play well against League Two Walsall's side. You can try to defend his shit performance, but I'm telling you now, he was wrong. He was wank, mate.
Well, let's turn off the
I'm annoyed by it because I've been calling for Pereira in every game so far, and I think he should have been playing. And then he does the performance against Walsall, and he proves why he's not being picked. And a lot of this Cooper hate, and then Cooper's there like, well, here you are. Here's Pereira against League Two Walsall side, and he's rubbish.
Go on then, your defenders and
Centre-back, I think Phil said it earlier in the week. He's definitely going downhill in performances. He was pretty poor against Walsall. I ain't said I put him in.
Sorry.
I am putting him in. So you jump in the gun, but you.
No, I just thought you were saying, centre-backs and Coley. I thought, okay,
I think he's had a bit of a. He's gone downhill a little bit against Walsall, against some of his management. The whole team against Walsall. I know that playing against some of these lower league teams can be more trickier because they play with a lot less consistency or contingency, I guess. They don't really have more of a structure. It's more of a, like you said, they go for it. But I think he made some mistakes. But again, he's had some good games, had some bad games. Arsenal. It's hard to judge any player really against them. You can maybe judge some decisions, maybe in the final third or in the defence, maybe some errors, but it's hard to judge overall. But he goes back into my team again, and other centre back, I think it's Fies again. He was rested, wasn't he, against Walsall? So he definitely rested him for the Arsenal game. Maybe that is our best back four. Vestergaard's obviously been out injured, apparently. Not that we knew it until like this week, but he's been out injured for the past few weeks. So we didn't really know that. Whether he got injured after being dropped, who knows?
While you're talking, I'm just going to put the same to him because that's who I think is going to start. Again, with Vestergaard apparently out, from what we've heard. There's no point even trying to put him in. And to be honest, these two together for me, other than maybe the odd couple of games where they've not been great, for me, they are best two at the moment. So I'd stick them in. Sam, we'll move into the midfielders then. I have a few people talk here.
I think a bit controversial. Curtis Knott, I was saying Skips and Winks. I can see the Winks side to it. Skip definitely goes back into my team. I'm not really sure why he was dropped for the Everton game in the first place. That was an error on Cooper's half. I'm not, like I said, I'm not going to sing and praise Cooper a lot. We'll point out his errors, and not starting Skip was a definite error. But on the other hand, Ndidi, who had a good game against Palace, was hard to drop. And then he didn't have a good game against Everton.
It's mad, isn't it? One person had a great game for one game, and then one person should have had a great game for another game, and they just both get dropped for different games.
I'm putting Ndidi back in my team as a defensive mid with Skip. I think it just offers you more stability as two defensive midfielders when we are defending. And also for the fact I thought Winks had a terrible game against Everton. I think a lot of people, because of Ndidi's performances so far this season, I'm not saying he's done great. I think it's kind of overlooked because I think everyone was, zoning in so hard on Ndidi's performance. Again, that I actually thought Winks was one of the pretty poor. That's what I'm trying to say. I think if you look at Ndidi and Skip, Ndidi and Winks, I thought Winks had a way worse game than Ndidi did against Everton, which is why I put Ndidi into my team. I think Winks probably needs a drop just to realise, his position isn't always guaranteed. Because I just think against Everton, it was a pretty poor performance. And I'm not saying Ndidi did great, but I think when you're weighing up the options, I do like to see, that competitive side to it. So if I drop Ndidi, it gives Winks potentially a kick up the arse for the Bournemouth game. It's like, if you want to be in that team, work yourself off,
No, yeah, I get you. I'm moving back to mine. I'm thinking about this now. And because of Winks and Skip, and for me, out of the both of them, I feel like I can't drop them. I kind of want to drop one, but the only problem is, I know obviously Winks had a bad performance versus Everton. I can't seem to drop him. I don't know why. I feel like he's the stability player. Because I think he's a stability player in the middle for me.
You're picking between two not so good players, I'd say. You've either got, at the moment anyway, if you're not picking Winks, Reedy, who's the other guy you're going to pick?
Do you know what?
Like, no, but on a real, who would it be? Don't just, you're going to say El Canoes, aren't you?
No, wait. I'm going to put in what team I want to start.
Yeah.
And as much as I don't want to drop Winks, I will. And I'm going to go Skip.
Yeah. Okay, that's the sensible one, and here's the not so sensible one.
And El Canoes.
Yeah, I told you didn't do that.
Because, and I will tell you right now, from what I've seen, and again, I know I've not seen anything for Leicester, but what I'm seeing from like websites saying what position he's playing, plays for Morocco.
Website, yeah.
He plays in more of a centre mid role at times. He plays in the more defensive minded role for Morocco. And I'm saying, yes, they're playing teams that are probably nowhere near the level, but for me, I want to see a bit more creativity in the midfield. And if it comes to, even if it means that El Canoes plays more defensive minded, fair enough. But at the moment, with what we've seen from Ndidi,
he's a defensive mid or
more of a centre mid, like a box to box in a way.
So but he can still be alongside Skip or
alongside Skip.
Okay.
And for me, I think he can play that role. I think for me, from what we've seen of Winks against Everton and Ndidi versus Everton, the passing wasn't great.
I'm not going to knock it. Like I said,
I want to see it. I don't think it will happen.
I think it's a waste of money spent potentially if you're just signing El Canoes to play in central mid. I think he has been brought in to be the attacking.
But we've all seen who plays our best position in the cam role. We both know that. We both know who's been our best player. I've not seen enough
from El Canoes to say he's good or bad. Well, the only thing I have to go off was El Canoes against Everton was a twig. He did nothing. He got pushed off the ball way too easily. And, you know, to give it what he had 55 minutes of the game, I'm not going to do it. I think Dele
and Jahari.
They don't like Cooper.
They don't like Cooper. The counter here says Rice and Party would eat Canoes alive.
They would. I think they really
maybe so. But I'm just saying, I think with how we've seen Winks
play. If you're going to start him in that position, you can try him against Arsenal. I mean,
again, like I said, for me,
I don't think it's important to do that though. Unfortunately, I think he has been brought in to be the attacking mid.
Maybe so, but we've seen how we played against in the cam role against Everton. We've seen how Bonanotte plays in that cam role. We all know that Bonanotte has been our best player or near enough one of our best players this season already. So for me, I'm starting him in the cam role. Might as well do it now before we move on to the wingers. If I can spell it right, there you go. Again, he has to start for me. I don't think I'm seeing Wilfred Ndidi in that role. But then again, we're against Arsenal. Cooper will probably do that himself. He will know to do that. But that's for me. That's how I want to see it. Because again, I don't want to drop Winks, but how he played against Everton, as much as I think he had a worse game than what you think. For me, I want to see a bit more creativity.
Yeah, I would probably.
And just a note before I speak. Tillemans wasn't the defensive-minded midfielder. He was more of a box-to-box, and that's where I'm trying to play El Canoes in that sort of role.
I'm not saying he's I don't think he's been brought in to do that.
No, maybe not.
For me, I think if we're going to be more creative, we need to maybe not. It's hard to judge. I'm not knocking it because I've not seen him play that, but I just think against Arsenal, he already, for me, he's looking a bit shaky against Everton. For me, if he plays like he did anything like that against Arsenal, I think fans would be like.
I get his strength side of things. I get the strength side of things. He wasn't strong enough against them. I get it probably even harder against Arsenal. I'm saying on the ball, when we've got that ball to release.
But if you're going to compare someone to be on the ball, I'll bring it to Riyad Mahrez, who had no strength, but he was an absolute baller on the ball. Yes. El Canoes,
we don't know how he is.
But against Everton, he didn't look like it.
Maybe
he got pushed off the ball and. He
does. They walk. Yes, he does. He does need to adapt to the physicality.
The issue with our season is we don't have time to let players adapt. We need players for here and now. If Elkin, I'm not trying to harsh too much on him, but he needed to come in and hit the ground running. And Everton, I said maybe wasn't the best game to start him against because we needed the guaranteed win, and he don't know what he could perform. And he did what I thought he would do, which was have a pretty stinky game, and got took off, in the 50th minute. But each to their own, really. I think he'll get slaughtered in that role personally against Arsenal, but we'll move on to the attacking three or four, I guess.
Yes, for you, we'll move into your position.
Yeah, I'm in two minds whether we play the wingers or we don't, because I don't see enough creativity from, playing the left and right wing. And I'm not saying that's down to the wingers' fault. I think it's maybe down to the fact that against some of these teams that we're playing, they're being restricted because obviously they're being man-marked a lot. And like I said, the big issue is quality. I don't know if they are up to the standards. I think Mavridi's looked fairly good. I ain't decided really yet who I want to put in that position really on the left or right side.
Surely left is basically just been given to you on a plate to say that he's been the best winger we've had since he's come in.
Well, I disagree.
Surely.
You're going to say... You're saying best winger. I think Ayu's been the best winger that we've had because
defence-minded, maybe so.
No, I think overall the best winger we've had out of the club at the moment is.
For me, that shows you how awful our creativity is.
Yes, I think it does. I think
because that shows you that he's barely had even a shot on target.
I think Mavrididi is a close second, and I'm going to sit. I'm not going to change around too much. Mavrididi does get into my team. I think he's had a good performances when he started 2 games.
Like I'm not denying
he's played well.
I'm not denying Ayu's not been bad. Like he's been all right. He's been good.
Yes.
But for me, it's more the point of if he's been your best winger, then Christ, where's our creativity coming? That shows you that's mental. Because he's not for me creative at all.
I'm in 2 minds for my next one. Brendan Otte put him in, not even a debate. He was the only player, and I said shocked. The only player, or not the only player, but the player that's on loan that was playing for us. Mm-hmm. Is the only one that's putting an effort into the shirt. So
I thought he did well at Walsall as well. He did all right.
He definitely, like I said, he had a lot of... It's hard to be a good player when the players around you are being shit. When you're the attacking midfielder, it's hard to be that good player when the players around you are not doing what you need them to. I think he was creative and he got the ball faster than wingers, then Fatawu would just lose it or, go backwards and the defenders would fumble it. It's embarrassing to say that when it happens against the League 2 Walsall side. So God knows what's going to happen against Arsenal. 2 minds, Ayew or Fatawu.
I think we've got a few Forest fans in here.
That's all right. Lovely to come and give us the extra view. We appreciate it. Thank you very much. I mean, Ian, he's a Forest fan. I think what we've seen a lot of people say, Ian probably would give you the fair criticism from Cooper. He can also give you the side of maybe towards his tenure, towards the end of his tenure, it was not good enough for Forest, but he did get them promoted, and he did also keep them up in the first Premier League season back up. So there's a lot of credit where credit's due for Cooper doing what he needed to do for virtually a brand new Forest team. So for me, the Cooper out debate's a bit silly 5 games in. I feel like if we're 15 games in and we're in the bottom 3, your argument has more sense. But for me, anyone that's saying Cooper out is just, I think you're just living in the past, and you need to realise that we ain't the Leicester we used to be, and just suck it up. But
here's a question for you. This is one that we've not seen before in the last 5 games. Is it time to see Mavridy and Fatawu both on the pitch at the same time?
Yeah, I think I'm putting Fatawu in my team.
Because for me,
but I'm only putting Fatawu in my team because I want to throw him in the deep end. I think he's been really relaxed and he's not done much on that wing. For me, I think it's time for him to sink or swim against Arsenal. I think he really needs to, I think he needs to do something. I think he's been given these games and he's not done anything. I think it's like, here's Arsenal, you do what you can. If you want to be a good player, this is the game to really step up your level of football. And for me, if he doesn't have a good game against Arsenal, I know it's hard to say Arsenal. If he doesn't do what we know Fatawu can do, which is be creative and take on the defenders, like he did in the last... He was rubbish against Walsall, by the way, bearing in mind, apart from the last 10 minutes of the game, where every time he took on their right back, he got it in the box. And that's all he needs to do. He needs to be creative, take on the player, and he swings it in the box or he gets to the edge and has a shot. I've missed that from players that, that don't do that. We're still trying this. Let's try and pass it into the net. It's not very just have a crack at it every now and again. So for me, Fatawu, this is a time for him to sink or swim.
Do you know what?
I'm give him a try.
I'm having thoughts in my head now to say that if he's on his top of his game and he can do what we know he can do, for me, I think he could get a couple of goals in this game. I know that's a big ask.
I think you'll see inside 15 minutes. And like I said, it's not easy when the players around you are not showing their quality enough. So, I think Fatawu's one of them. I think his quality has been really poor so far. I think he needs to step it up. Yeah, are you probably going to put the same in?
I am, yeah, because I've been asking for Mavridy and Fatawu together for the last 5 games. For me, Mavdidi's shown himself since he's been put into the team with the substitute versus, is it Villa? Yeah, it was Villa because we got back into the game with him. And then the next 2 games after, for me, he's shown his quality. And
was it? No, I don't think
it was Villa. He came on against Villa and he got the goal for Bilal to score. And then he scored. He started the next few games. For me, he's the most creative one we've had since he's come on, or since he's played. And then I want to see Fatu as well, because I honestly think if we can see, if we from what we've seen, if he can do it in the Premier League, I think he'll be an unstoppable player. But from what we've seen so far in this season,
I think he needs to grow. I think grow up a little bit in his football decision. I think we had some of the issues with Harvey Barnes of an outstanding footballer, but when it comes to that final third
football
decision making, the knowledge is not. Has not been there. Like
I think Harvey Barnes has improved this season because he's already scored a couple of goals.
He's improved in the better team. Like as is the case for most players. You know, if we put Mavdidy, if he went and played for Man City, he'd probably look like a decent little baller there because you gain confidence playing around better players. And I think some of the players, especially against Walsall, I think it shows you why they're fringe players at some of them, because it's like they're just so negative, and then clearly the quality is just not there. Either that's through game time or lack of confidence, who knows? But some of those players were really stinky, and Pereira, like I said, was one of them for me.
Yeah.
But
we'll move into the striker. I think the man with so many goals against Arsenal, I think he's probably got one of the best goal records against Arsenal from what I can remember. Are you choosing that man, or are you going to choose the new striker in the club?
Well, we have 3 options. There's obviously Ayew, Vardy, and Edouard. Obviously, if Ayew's not on the wing, Ayew can play in that striker role. I mean, again,
it's hard to choose.
I'm in 2 minds of how do you want to play football? Because if you want to play with Jamie Vardy, then give him the service, because he is an absolute player. He's Leicester's best ever player, and we're lucky that he's still playing football. He scored 2 goals so far this season.
Alex, yes, I agree. I think it's been the case like 4 out of 5 games until he brought in El Kanouche, which again didn't work for us, but bringing in 3 DMs to go defensive and play counter-attacking football, it's going to happen.
But you look at it in 2 minds, and I think this is where the Cooper hate gets a bit silly, because you say you say be attacking, but then if we go out and get slaughtered 4 or 5-0, you're then going to come back and say that was rubbish by Cooper. Why is he not putting defenders on? No, you will, because that's what most fans will do. And I'm not saying you in particular.
I wouldn't.
I'm not saying anyone.
I'd be more happy to see us have a fight.
I think there's a biasness against Cooper that, however the result, unless it's a win, then there's going to be negative connotations around.
I agree with that. I think yes, because people are saying when's his first win going to come, and I've even said that myself.
Well, it's not going to be Arsenal. Let's be honest.
No, you never know. You never know.
Let's pull up his comments. I think he's a Forest fan. I don't mind Leicester, but Cooper's only manager puts more defensive plays on when you go behind. It's hard to tell from our point of view. We'll listen to obviously what you said, because obviously we've not seen much of Cooper yet to make up a solid opinion on. The main thing with us, like with Forest, is if he keeps us up, then he's done his job. That's all he needs to do.
I disagree with this comment, by the way. Unlike Palace, this is warrants skip Winton and Didi. I don't think he does. I
think Locks could be right in that though.
If you see my teammate and understand that one, understand that one, mate.
But again, Lux could be right in the sense of
he's played in that role, by the way. He has played in that role.
Like a lot of teams do against these top 6, they'll defend the whole game and they'll try and break away on the counter attack. So there's in 2 minds. I've gone in the mind of if we're going to go and try something different, then Arsenal's probably the game to go and try it a little bit, at least for the first 45 minutes. And if it's not working and 2-0 down at half time, it's like, okay, let's just be defensive and not concede anymore and maybe get a counter-attack goal. It's difficult, really. We said talk about strike. I think it was 5 minutes rant about everything else. Vardy. It's obviously Vardy. For me, it is Vardy.
If anybody, you got a chance to score against Arsenal, you know it's going to be him to
he loves the goal against the top 6.
Yes, he does. Yes.
He scored against Spurs, didn't he?
Yeah.
So if he's going to do it again, please, against Arsenal, King Vardy, that would be lovely.
Even I wouldn't suggest that midfield. Again, I've just gone for a bit more creativity. Again, it might be a bit too much, but I still think Knus could do a defensive role as well. He is quite tall. You didn't see his strength against Everton.
He falls over if you do that.
you never know. It's not going to happen. We both know it's not going to happen.
Really hope it doesn't happen. No offense to El Khanous, I just think that to start him in a more defensive minded position.
It's all right. You'll be in that role, mate. Declan Rice will run into him. He just goes right past him and on the run.
Declan Rice will do that.
No. You'll be El Khanous going right and then running up the pitch.
It won't be. It'll be Declan Rice.
It will turn him, mate. It will turn him. It will look like a stone, mate. Stu here says it has to be Vardy. Looks like a good team. Lots of quality there. Vardy up front. Then for me, it is as well. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think Edouard would be a good replacement if we are still drawing, or maybe if we're 1-0 down, he might come over and clinch a draw out of it. But yeah, Vardy for me is the case. I think Vardy is the first choice for every game, really, unless he gets injured, in my eyes.
Yeah, it's hard. I think Vardy is a great player, and I still think he can compete at this level if we give him the service. Dean saying, where's Winks in our team? Well, we both took him out because he had a pretty poor game against Everton, and I think the positions in teams should never be guaranteed. Like we saw under Rodgers when we got relegated, I think one of my biggest criticisms was if you're going to keep playing these players and they're underperforming, they've got to be dropped because people that were playing very bang average knew that their position was guaranteed because there was no competition. Winks, for me, is played pretty average, and I think there's enough competition where it's like, well, if you're not going to perform at Everton, you're going to need to get dropped.
A dropping might help him. Again, for me,
it just goes.
He can't just be easy picking a team.
Competition in the team for positions, and if he really wants to fight, and I've said this all season long already, that if there's enough competition in the team, the players will get better with them being pushed by each other to start.
Yeah.
If they can be asked to play for the club, which I don't think they can. So far anyway, I've not seen enough arseness from the players, and I don't. I mean, I'm never going to know from behind the scenes, but as much as people might dislike or like Cooper, I don't think it's Cooper's issue that these players are just not asked on the pitch.
Yeah,
I think there's only so much as a manager that you can say that, like, listen, lads, you're the 11 that are out there. If you're just being lackluster and lazy, what do you want me to do? And it's like you said, with the team we have, it's hard to replace some of these players on the pitch. If one player's not performing, that's, one of the key players, you're kind of like, well, like Winks, for example, when he's not performing, it's a bit like, well, you've put El Khanous in there, which a lot of people probably be like, it's not really good, the best position I put into. And people said, well, he's also not been that good. So where's it
I think I'll tell you now, but the only reason I put him in there is because we've been asking for creativity. We've not seen much of it. And for me, out of all the players we've got, I think, unless it's Skipping and Winks, and Skip goes a bit more forward, which probably would be the answer to it, for me, you're sticking another creative-minded midfielder into the defensive role.
Locks has put, to be fair, Justin deserves to be dropped. I mean, you can go to my team, Reedy. I've put Justin back in my team because I don't know if you watched the game against Walsall. Pereira was rubbish. He had the chance to, work his way and earn his place back in the first team, and he was pretty poor, to be honest with you, against Walsall. So I don't think he earned himself a place for Arsenal.
No.
I'm not saying Justin's been brilliant, and this is the issue. I'm trying to defend two different things.
The start, don't you?
Yeah.
5 goals and 8.
But it's a hard to do. I genuinely think it just is what it is. The quality this season is just not going to be as good as it was when we were in Premier League pre-relegation, and we just knew that. That's a fact. And the goal is that there is 3 teams that are going to be worse than us that don't have enough quality. And so far, there is really, because we're 15th place after 5 games. That it's too little to judge how we could do compared to other people. So
right.
It's difficult.
The last question then.
Ask me a score prediction.
No, wait. I'll ask you a score prediction, and I will ask you your quick thoughts on Cooper's comments / chance that Leicester fans have been saying, because it is quite a big talk right now. What should I say? What
the chance
and the Cooper response?
Do the chance for me, really.
I don't know what it is.
We'll try.
This is embarrassing. This is embarrassing.
I think it's a bit embarrassing from the fans, to be honest, to be singing that 5 games in. I think, again, like I said, my biggest criticism is there's a lot of people jumping the gun. It's hard to judge whether it's personal dislikes towards Cooper or because the performances haven't been as good as Championships, a different kettle of fish. The performances were obviously a lot higher caliber from us because we were playing worse teams. And I'd probably argue that I don't think we've improved our team overly much. I say we're either level, maybe a little bit below to what the team we had last year. In the Championship, I feel like we have lost a lot of those, Premier League players that we signed for the Premier League, and have we replaced them with better players? Who knows? Because we've not really seen enough of them, which is where my criticism comes in. Of you got to give the manager enough time to get the players to gel and to show. Like someone like El Khanouchi needs time, and unfortunately we don't have time, which is why I'd say in 15 games time, not 15 overall, so in 10 games from us, 9 games from Arsenal, I guess. Around that December time, you can maybe have a bit more of a. I'd say your argument's more valid if we're in the bottom 3, and if we're out the bottom 3, I think you can't really say sack him, because he'll tell you and everyone the goal is to not get relegated. And at the moment, 15 games in, we're out there. But again, Arsenal's a really tough game. But in 5 games time, we've played Bournemouth, Ipswich, Southampton. We could beat all of them, and everyone would be like,
maybe so. Yeah, and I think we'll be happy to be eating our own words with 3 wins on the board after that. For me, I agree with this part though. For me, 10 games is for me maximum to say you've played a lot of the lower sides in the league. If you don't get the wins out of them, then you realistically think you've dropped this many points. But then it's teams that you need to be beating. For me, 10 games is even enough. You've got 6 or 7 games out of all of them that are lower sides in the table.
I think just 15 games is a good place to really have a fair criticism, because it's in that period where you're kind of developing where we are going to stand in the season. And it may be 10 games, maybe 15 is too much. It depends on how well we do. For me, if you're going to say it's after 10 games, that really has to be Cooper's not doing well. That for me, the 10 games in.
Would you say that if we lost Bournemouth?
Not Bournemouth, because they're a good Premier League established side.
Ipswich and Southampton. For me, 6 points. But if you get 4, then fair enough.
I'd say against Ipswich and Southampton, they're both definitely don't losers. I think they would both. For me, I think a good performances would be 4 points against them.
Yeah, you'd take probably 4
I wouldn't take 2. And again, I think the biggest if is almost you have to see where we do stand in the league. It doesn't really matter if we win or lose them per se. It depends on how the other teams around us are doing. And obviously, by that, I mean, if we lose to Ipswich and Southampton, they're obviously going to go ahead of us. And that is where you say, okay, what's the game plan to keep us in the league? Because the two, I mean, you got to bear in mind, how did we do against Ipswich last year? Didn't we? Did we not drew both of them? And Southampton, we beat them both. So they're 2 teams where we've already done the double against them. We already beat and drew to them last year. And how much have they improved? How much have we improved? So they are the teams where you do need to, at bare minimum, not lose. Like against Everton, who are an established Premier League club, whether, that they've had a bad or good start to the season, it's not the first time they've had a rubbish start to the season, and they've never been relegated.
I think the majority of fans would say that too. In my eyes, I think if you lose to them, that's what
the points definitely. I think it will, but I think the points do have to start accumulating somewhere. But I also think that they can't be dropped. You never know. Like I say, Arsenal's not really the game to pick up anything. It's just a game to really see. I guess maybe change some tactics around. That's how I'm looking at it. Scoreline. Realistic or what I from my blue heart? What is it?
Do both.
Realistically, I'd say a 3-0 would be an okay result to Arsenal.
Okay, yeah.
I think we could.
I'll take 3-1. Give us a goal.
The way we're playing and the confidence, I think if we didn't get thumped too bad, I think but we've looked okay defensively and competitive enough. Where I would take a result where we just don't get thumped, maybe 2-0 or 3-0. It's hard. Maybe 3-0 is a bit unconfident. If we lost 2-0, I'd say okay, that's fine. We've done okay. It depends on how we play in that 2-0. But 1-1, I'll take a draw. Realistically, I think the best I can do it in my, if I put my blue tinted specs on, the best I can get out of it would be a draw.
Apparently, that keeper's injured.
Yeah, but it doesn't.
It could be a big factor. Could be.
Yeah.
Prediction wise for me then. Do you know what? My blue heart says 3-2 to Leicester. We're going to go for it. Flattery's going to get 2.
Are you going to that game, Reedy?
I'm not, mate.
How come?
Flattery's going to get 2. And Vardy's going to get 1. And then 2 of them. And we'll win 3-2. But
realistically, yeah.
2-1.
2-1. Yeah. That's Reedy right now. That's Reedy right now.
I'm just being nice. But there you go, guys. It's been a bit of a long one, but it's been an enjoyable one, I think.
I think that it's interesting to engage the fact that I think we're all in the same boat. Of you can have criticism from Cooper, but if we lose, we lose. It is what it is.
I think
we can't do much.
A free hit.
Which I think don't
go all that defensive. I think we need to give it some fight. Just see how we go. Like Martin said, realistically, it's 5-0 Arsenal, but.
I mean, BX Gunner says I can see a young. Who is their second keeper? Is he an inexperienced? Because last time I checked, I know Ramsdale got sold to Southampton.
I want to double check
because
let me double check. I want to know.
Because I don't know who their second keeper is, but usually, I mean, in history anyway, Arsenal's second keeper gets into most Premier League teams. Is it? Yes. So he's definitely not a young, inexperienced keeper. He's Bournemouth's captain before he got sold. Was he not?
What?
Was he not Bournemouth's captain?
Yeah, he was. No, he was their main. He was their main keeper. I don't know who. I'm not reading that one out. But yeah, appreciate you all coming in. I should say it is Neto.
Yeah.
Goal. You're saying scoreline quickly again?
Blue Heart 1-1. Realistically, 2 or 3 now.
Okay, and I'm going to go for 3-2 Blue Heart and 2-1 less. 2-1 Arsenal, realistically. But there you go. Appreciate you coming in. Last one of the day, Derek said, God, he's injured from what we know.
He's gone to Chelsea last time. I think Enzo signed it.
What would a sign that would have been, wouldn't it?
What, to do what Drew's doing? Not even make the bench?
Exactly. We would have made some dollar though, wouldn't we? He loved it last year. There you go, guys. Appreciate you coming in. I should see the team just quickly again before we start. Steve, there's mine. There's Sam.
Fairly similar.
Just midfield is changing. Yeah. But appreciate you coming on, and we'll catch you all on the next show.
Cheers.